Hi everyone, welcome to Visa Place's Facebook Live session that we hold every month. Checking in to see if everyone can hear me. Hello, hi there. Hi everyone, welcome. I see some joiners from Facebook. Hi Wakar, hi Emmanuel. Where are you guys from? This is Victoria from Visa Place. I'm a licensed Canadian immigration consultant, and we are hosting a live session today. I'm going to be sharing some updates on Canadian immigration, border updates, express entry, permanent residence programs, everything that's happening right now as well. Any questions that you might have if you're interested in immigrating to Canada, if you have family in Canada, if you're in Canada yourself and you want to bring family members over, feel free to drop a question in the comments below and I'll be sure to get to them. I'm doing very well. Thanks so much for asking, Emmanuel. Hi, Frank. Hi, Fatima. Hi, Abdallah. Hello. Thanks for joining, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. Where are you guys tuning in from? What country are you from? If you want to post that in the comments below, we'd love to find out. I have a comment here about our website. If you are interested in booking a consultation with our team, you can do that, visaplace.com. At the end of our session today as well, we'll be sharing a code for a discount for a consultation. You can book a consultation with myself or with one of our other consultancy members. We've got people from Pakistan, Uganda, hi Abdallah from Canada, Botswana, London. We've got people from Turkey. Hello, welcome everyone. I'm going to give a few minutes for everyone to tune in and to join, and then I'll be starting our session shortly. I just want to recap again what we'll be going over today, the border updates, specifically in regards to COVID-19, some permanent residence programs that were introduced this year, as well as express entry, which was always a hot topic every single month, and I'll also be going over parent sponsorship. If you have questions for me, feel free to post it in the comments below. I'll be sure to get to them. Our team is going to compile them, and then at the end of our session, I'll be going over everyone's questions. Hello from Shriyar. We've got a question on LMIAs and open work permits for Canada and Ontario. Really good questions coming in. I want to know about minimum qualifications and experience. I can definitely answer that for you. We've got people from Indonesia, hello. And we've got Frank from the UK. Awesome, we've got some questions about border closures, so I'll be happy to answer that shortly. We have some sponsorship questions, questions about IELTS. This is really great, guys. Keep the questions coming. I'll be sure to answer all of them. Just give us a little bit more time here, and I'll start in about a minute. Okay, we've got Marcos from Ethiopia. Hello. Shriyar, you're a graduate. Awesome. If you guys want to share a little bit more about your personal situation and any specific questions for me, especially in terms of your options or opportunities to apply for immigration to Canada, I can help shed some light there for you. Jeanette has a question. I'm not sure what ILR is, but if you want to specify, I can get to that for you. Hi, Harris. Nice to meet you. Alrighty, so we're 5 minutes in now. I am going to get started with our live session today. Hi, everyone. My name is Victoria. I'm a licensed Canadian immigration consultant with VisaPlace. I'm one of our consultant team members that helps to meet with you and our clients to go over immigration strategy, as well as options for you to come to Canada either as a visitor, worker, or student. We host these live sessions monthly in order to give you an update on the latest that's happening in Canadian immigration, as well as to answer some of your questions that you have specifically. Perhaps you don't have access to an immigration consultant or somebody that you know who can help answer general questions for you. That's what we're here for. As well, if you want a more detailed consultation, you can book one on our website. We posted the link there for you to have a 30-minute consultation call with one of our team members. We'll go over all of your personal details. We'll look at all your avenues and share those process and timelines for you, just so that you have a good idea of what you need to do to be able to immigrate to Canada. I think a lot of people don't know, but sometimes there's an avenue there. You might think that you don't qualify to apply for permanent residence, but there might be something there that we know of and that we can explore with you and help explain the process for you. So if you're keen on coming to Canada, immigrating here, I would say book a consultation with us and we'd be happy to help you out. Okay. So I'm going to go over our agenda for today. Today, I will be going over border updates, specifically in regards to Canada and how COVID-19 and the pandemic has affected that. So I'll be sharing all the latest updates there, especially if you're interested in traveling to Canada soon in the near future. I'll also be going over the public policies, specifically the temporary residence to permanent residence pathways. So this is a program that was introduced earlier this year. That's coming to a close next month. So I just want to give a reminder to people who might be in Canada right now or who have family members in Canada to apply for permanent residence as soon as possible. I'll also be going over Express Entry. Express Entry is our main permanent residence system and program to apply to immigrate to Canada. So I'll share the latest rounds, what's happening there over the last couple of months and what we can expect to come before the end of the year. And at the end of our session, I will also go over parent sponsorship. Parent sponsorship over the last month has been open and active, accepting people who are interested in bringing over their parents. So I'll share a little bit of information as well as an overview of the process. And anyone who's interested in the parent sponsorship or sponsoring their parents will have a general idea of how it works and what you need to do for that. As well, we'll have our question and answer period at the end of the session. Our team here is going to be compiling all of your questions, so feel free to keep them coming. If anything that pops up while I'm sharing the latest updates, feel free to write them down and I'll be able to get to them at the end. Okay. Alrighty, so as of September 7th, vaccinated travelers are now eligible to come to Canada. So it's been a little bit over a month now. If you received your full doses, and we're talking about vaccinations that are accepted by Canadian immigration. So that includes Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson. You are now eligible to come to Canada for a discretionary non-essential purpose. Otherwise, traveling to visit friends or family or for tourism. Previously in Canada, you needed an exception or you needed to come for an essential purpose in order to be allowed to come to Canada. But for now, if you are fully vaccinated, if you're from the UK and you want to travel to Canada as a tourist, you are eligible to do so. Okay. Please keep in mind, however, that you still need to show up with a negative COVID test. You still need to be able to download the Canada's app, Arrive Can, in order to put in your quarantine information, and be prepared with a quarantine plan. If you're fully vaccinated, you don't need to quarantine for 14 days. But if you are showing symptoms, or if an immigration officer finds that perhaps you do need to quarantine, you still need to make sure that you have a place to stay and you have arrangements in order to get food and things that you might need. Okay. Another important update that I'd like to share is that Canadian air and rail passengers will also need to be fully vaccinated in order to travel. So this is a little bit different from the border entries. Now airlines and flights departing from Canada, domestic and international, will require passengers to show proof of vaccination by November 30th. Okay, there is a grace period beginning October 30th in the next week or so that you'll need to be able to show a negative COVID test prior to departure in order to fly. So even if you're flying from Toronto to Vancouver, if you're in Canada and you're flying outwards, anyone departing from a Canadian airport on a Canadian airline will require the negative COVID test. Okay. If you are an immediate family member, a sibling, parent, child of a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, before you wouldn't need a proof of vaccination in order to come to Canada because you qualify under an exception. However, given these new mandates and parameters for Canadian airlines and rail passengers, you may need to take that into consideration before traveling to Canada. We're going to have to see how things play out in the next couple of weeks as well too. Immigration hasn't quite updated the proof of vaccination requirements for immediate family members, but of course, if you're traveling by air, this is going to be a requirement. Okay. Alrighty. Moving on to the public policy programs. So specifically relating to the TR to PR, temporary residence to permanent residence pathway programs. I spoke about this quite a bit over the last few sessions, but I wanted to send everyone a quick reminder that the policies are going to come to an end next month on November 5th. So these programs were announced in May this year, specifically for recent graduates and those who are working in essential occupations, in healthcare, and as well as non-healthcare related positions. If you are French speaking, you're a Francophone and you're also working in healthcare, or if you're a Francophone graduate from a Canadian university or college, there is still a little bit of time for you to apply for permanent residence under this program. The healthcare worker stream is still open. There's only 5,400 applicants who've applied out of the available 20,000 health occupations. So if you've been working as a home support worker, a lab technologist, for example, a nurse aide, or a housekeeper in Canada, and you've worked for 1,560 hours in the last 3 years, you're still eligible to apply. So if you know anyone, if you've got a family member in Canada who's working in a healthcare occupation, please urge them to apply for permanent residence quickly because time is ticking. We've only got a few weeks left to pull this together. A lot of our clients at Visa Place have already received their permanent residence. It's all approved since we first applied for them in May. So that's really a record, I guess, timing for a permanent residence approval. So we can see that the Canadian government has really quickened the processing time specifically for this program. You'll find that it's processed much faster than other economic permanent residence programs such as express entry or provincial nominee. So certainly if you're eligible to apply for this, if you think you might be eligible, book a consultation with us. We'll be happy to review your eligibility criteria, and then assist you with your permanent residence application. So that's it about the public policies. I'm going to be moving on to our express entry section. Express entry, as a reminder for everyone new that's tuning in this month, is one of our base programs for permanent residents. It's based on factors such as age, education, work experience, English or French language skills, and it assesses everybody who's interested in applying for permanent residence and assigns a certain points number, okay? Based on your points allocation, the Canadian government takes a look. They review your eligibility against other people who are interested in applying for permanent residence and sends an invitation. So typically bi-weekly, the Canadian government sends out usually around 5,000 invitations to people who are interested or who express an interest in applying for permanent residence. Within express entry system, there's different streams. We've got Canadian experience costs for those who are in Canada. We've got provincial nominee programs, which is a regional program, and we have federal skilled worker, okay? Federal skilled worker, I think, is the most important program here because it's targeting people who are outside of Canada. For example, if you are well educated, if you've got strong English language skills, if you've got solid work experience, and you're residing out of Canada, if you're in the Middle East, if you're in Africa, if you're in Asia, and you want to apply for permanent residence, this would be one of your programs, your key programs, in order for us to review and see if you are eligible to apply for permanent residence. With COVID-19 over the last year and the last couple of months specifically, our team here at Visa Place have been monitoring the express entry rounds closely. And we're all kind of sitting tight and anticipating the rounds to be extended to people outside of Canada. So what we're looking for are no program or all program specific draws. So encompassing everyone who's interested in applying for permanent residence. Last year in 2020, those draws started opening up in July, August, September. This year it's now October. We still haven't seen the all program draws as of yet. However, we are anticipating that it could open before the end of the year, if not early 2022. So what's been happening over the last few draws is that we've seen 3 back-to-back PMP draws, with the latest on October 13th, so last week, with people with a score of 720 were invited to apply under PMP. So what we're seeing now is something that's definitely not typical. We don't normally see back-to-back PMP draws. Usually they alternate PMP as well as Canadian experience costs. But we can see that the Canadian government is holding a bit for Canadian experience costs. I think specifically because the number of invitations that were given earlier this year have been quite high. We had the record-breaking invitation in February, as well as large number of invitations at 6,000 issued mid this year as well. So we can see on the Canadian immigration forefront that they are gearing up potentially for the federal skilled worker all program draws. I think they're waiting to see how things go with the borders starting to reopen. But the last 3 months have been quite slow. We haven't seen too much activity there. And now we're closing in on the year, approaching the last quarter. We've already seen that Immigration Canada has gone above and beyond the number of invitations sent out this year as compared to last year. But reports indicate that the federal skilled worker program may resume before the end of the year. So if you are interested in applying for permanent residence, if you think you might be qualified for federal skilled worker, I think now is the time to think about applying if you haven't done so already. There are a few things that you need to do before applying for permanent residence. You need to get some documentation ready, and that's going to take about at least 2 months to prepare. So if you are interested in applying for federal skilled worker, if you think you might be qualified, I would recommend starting to get ready, looking in to see whether it's possible. And if you need support, our team can certainly help. So that's it for express entry. I will now talk a little bit about parent sponsorship. So this is targeting people who are in Canada, or perhaps you might be outside of Canada, but specifically Canadian citizens and permanent residents. Those of you who are interested in applying to sponsor your parents to Canada, parent and grandparent sponsorship would be our program. So the parent and grandparent program is lottery based, which means that it is random. In order for you to be able to sponsor your parents, you have to submit a notification or notice of interest to the Canadian government. So you have to let them know that you're there and you are eligible to apply to sponsor your parents and you're interested in bringing your parents from overseas. This year's parent sponsorship lottery was a record number. So we saw 30,000 invitations sent out to those who submitted a notice of interest last year in 2020. Typically around September, October of the year, the lottery opens up. Anyone that is interested is supposed to submit a notice of interest form to sponsor. And in a few weeks' time, usually before the end of the year, around December, January, the Canadian government then releases, the numbers of those who have been invited to apply to sponsor their parents. Unfortunately, for this year, for 2021, they weren't accepting new invitations. So it's basically just everyone who applied for last year. But we are anticipating that the parent sponsorship lottery is going to hopefully reopen soon for those who might be interested and haven't already submitted a notice of interest. A lot of questions I get about how to sponsor your parents or grandparents. First, you have to figure out, how many people are in your family. So calculating your family size. That includes you, your spouse, any dependent children, and of course, your parents. You might want to sponsor only mom, or you might only want to sponsor dad, or perhaps both. You have to calculate your family size to determine how much income you need to show in order to bring your parents in. So you have to look at your minimum necessary income. The Canadian government does release a table that shows you how much income you have to show for each of the last 3 tax years. So you do have to file taxes in order to be eligible or considered for parent sponsorship. Who can you sponsor? You can sponsor your parents, your grandparents, and any siblings. So accompanying dependents of your parents would be under the age of 22, or if they are over age of 22, then we must show that they've been financially dependent on your parents due to a mental or physical disability. For those that might be interested in immigrating to Quebec, we're not looking at your last 3 income years, but we're looking at how much you earned in the last 12 months. So Quebec does follow a separate process for those of you who are interested or destined to go to that province. Once you receive an invitation to apply for parent sponsorship, you have 60 days to submit everything. That includes all the application forms, all of the required supporting documentation. So it is a very short turnaround time. If you've received an invitation and need support from a legal team or a law firm, we'd be happy to support you and file the applications for your family. Typically, what we're looking at is a 1 in 5 chance of receiving an invitation. So the invitations are very coveted. People can try for 4 or 5 years and never receive an invitation. So if you are a lucky one and received an invitation, I would consider it a golden opportunity to bring your parents over, to have them join you in Canada as permanent residents. And if you're interested in applying for parent sponsorship in the years to come, I would say to keep trying every single year. You don't want to miss out on an opportunity. We have to apply for an interest every year that it's issued. Perhaps you might not be interested, or you're not ready to apply for your parents this year, or maybe your parents still want to stay abroad and they're not ready to come into Canada. I would say, keep submitting the notice of interest, just because you never know what happens. You want to keep trying and have those opportunities. And if you have the chance, then you can kind of consider at that time, is this something that we want to do? So just a little bit of a word of advice from me. In the alternative, if you want to bring your parents to come visit you in Canada, but you're not quite ready yet to apply for permanent residence, there's always the super visa. The super visa is typically a 10-year multiple entry visa given to your parents, and they can stay in Canada for up to 2 years at a time. This is a really great alternative option for people, especially if you have children, young children, and your parents want to be around them. They want to see them, grow up and spend some time with them. I think this is a really great avenue for parents who are not ready to relocate to Canada as of yet. Any questions about parent sponsorship or super visa, feel free to let me know. Leave a comment in the box and I'll be able to get to it shortly. Alrighty, so I think that's it for our topics today on our agenda. I am going to go over and start our question and answer period. I've seen tons of great comments and questions here. So definitely keep them coming and I'll get to them. Alrighty, so just give me 1 second here. Okay. Some questions. So how much time does it take for sponsoring my wife? Considering if you are in Canada and you're looking to bring your wife, usually it takes about 12 months for your wife to join us and for the permanent residence application to be processed. Okay, so around 12 to 14 months. How about the spousal sponsorship? Okay, so we've got a general question here. I can answer that. If you have a spouse that you've married, or perhaps you are a Canadian citizen or permanent resident and you're a common law partner, so someone that you've lived with for 12 months or more, you are eligible to sponsor your partner to Canada. So this is for permanent residence. It's not a temporary visa. You're eligible to bring your loved one, your partner, to come with you to Canada and get permanent residence status. If you're married, we'll need a marriage certificate. If you're a common law partner, we'll need several documents to show that you've been living together. So these are the base requirements for you to be able to sponsor your partner. There's also other eligibility criteria that we need to take a look at. But if you are interested in applying to bring your partner over, we'd be happy to review with you what the next steps are. The timing, as I mentioned, is usually 12 months in order to bring your spouse over. So relatively quick compared to other countries such as the United States. How to apply in real life when I live in the UK? That's a great question. If you're interested in immigrating to Canada from the UK, there's several different avenues. There's different options for you depending on your personal situation. Okay, everyone is different. It's really hard for me to say, what pathway you have without getting to know you a little bit better. But I guarantee you that there is an option for you. So if you want to book a consultation with our team, we'd be happy to review your circumstances and make a recommendation for the best pathway for you to immigrate to Canada. I assure you that there would be. So definitely, think about booking one with our team, and we can help you out. I've applied for an ETA and want to stay with a friend when I get there. How do I get health insurance when I get there? I understand I can stay up to 6 months on a UK passport. When is the best time to apply for a work permit and extension of stay? I do want to eventually stay with my friend in Montreal permanently, and we will book consultations for that. Well, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And first of all, I'm really glad to hear that you're interested in moving to Canada. For British passport holders, there's several avenues for you to come to Canada. Okay. Yes, as a visitor, you're eligible to stay for up to 6 months at a time. If you need an extension after that, you can do so before your 6-month stay expires. In terms of health insurance, as a visitor, you need to purchase your own separate travel and health insurance. you wouldn't have access to our healthcare system here unless you are a worker or a permanent resident. In terms of applying for a work permit, depending on your age, you might be eligible for a working holiday visa. Depending on your occupation, you might be eligible for another work permit under the UK and Canada free trade agreement. So we'd have to take a look at that. You can possibly even apply before you come to Canada. So if you're in the UK right now, you might be eligible. So I would say any time is a good time to start thinking about applying for a work permit. The sooner the better. You can do so from before, or you can do so when you enter Canada as well. So I hope that answers your question. How can we get a sports visa? That's an interesting question. Really depends if you are playing sports or if you're an athlete at a higher level. We can certainly provide more information on your eligibility. So depending on what sport you play, what you're coming here for, there might be several avenues for you to come to Canada that way. I've started working for a company that has a presence in Canada and have said that they will transfer my job to Canada in 2023. Do I just need a letter of transfer from them to be able to come over with my family? We'd be looking for PR once we arrive. Well, that's really great news. If you're working for a company, a multinational corporation that has presence in Canada, has an office here, I think that's always a great avenue for you to be able to apply for a work permit. Most likely, we will be transferring you over as an intra-company transfer. There are other documents, of course, that you need in order to support that. Our team here, we've got a work permit team that will be able to help you get a work permit for yourself, an open work permit for your wife, and accompanying study permits for your children for you to be able to migrate to Canada. After working in Canada for 1 year, you will likely be eligible to apply for permanent residence. If your company needs support or assistance with helping with your work permit, I'm happy to speak with them. I regularly speak with HR officers and directors from companies who are looking to transfer their employees to Canada. So I can definitely share some insights in how to do that for you. So it's a really great plan, and we hope to see you guys soon here. How can my sibling in Canada sponsor me? Please explain in detail. So in Canada, we don't exactly have sibling sponsorship, okay? Unless you are an orphan, unless your family member in Canada has no one else that they can sponsor, there's very, very limited circumstances in order for a sibling to sponsor you. They can, however, sponsor you in different ways. They can help you find a job, or they can help fund your studies. So there's several different avenues that lead to permanent residence to bringing you to Canada. But we would have to look at that closer in order for us to determine how your sibling in Canada can bring you over. So there's definitely opportunities there, but without knowing with certainty what you do, how old you are, what your family circumstances are, it'd be tough for me to share with you. Can you inform me TRV applications results 2020, 2021? When will it be? That's a really great question. Earlier this year, Canadian Immigration did announce that there was a backlog of visitor visa applications, and they said if you submitted a visa application before September, they urged us to reapply and submit a new one. So it really depends on where you submitted, what visa office it was. The visitor visa applications aren't on hold, okay? They are still processing, but they are trying to prioritize ones that are urgent. For example, if you have a family member in Canada, or if you're coming for an urgent or essential reason. So there's no results per se that are being announced. But if you have a visitor application in place and you need it to be expedited, we can help with that. Or if you're looking to apply for a new visitor visa application, our team can also support you on that, okay? If we're fully vaccinated with India's Covaxin, which is not yet WHO approved, can we still travel to Canada on a visitor visa? At this time, unfortunately not. it hasn't been open yet for other vaccinations. You do need to have a approved vaccination in order to travel to Canada as a tourist. Okay, so unless you've got a family member or if you're coming for a business reason, if you're coming solely for tourism or non-discretionary purpose, unfortunately, you would not be able to travel at this time as a visitor. Okay, so just stay tuned. We'll see if the Covaxin is going to be added to the list, as well as perhaps if Canadian immigration changes some of the rules surrounding that. But for now, you wouldn't be eligible to come. Could I convert my visitor visa to student visa over there during my visit? Yes, you can. If you're here as a visitor in Canada, you are eligible to apply for a study permit. We can certainly help with that. If you are looking to apply for college or university, have been accepted to a program and you're looking to apply for a study permit, we can help you with that either outside of Canada or within Canada. So that's not a problem. Can I use the IELTS academic exam for immigrating to Canada? Unfortunately, no. IELTS academic is not accepted, so you're going to need to apply for a different one. I have a police caution in the United Kingdom for a very minor scuffle. It happened 15 or 16 years ago, and I didn't go to court. I didn't even get a fine. I've not been in trouble since. Will this affect my entry to Canada? So this really depends. Most likely, it seems like it might not be an issue, but if you want to be certain, I would have our team here take a look at it for you. If it was 15 or 16 years ago and you didn't receive any other charges or convictions, it might not be an issue. Most likely you would be eligible for what we call deemed rehabilitation, but we really have to take a look at your police record more carefully. We have to see what you were charged with and what it says in your report in order for us to say with certainty. So I'd have to take a look at that closer for you. Okay. All right, so Egyptian certified as international medical lab scientist by the American Society of Clinical Pathology and a PhD in microbiology, 40 years old. Can I work with the American Certificate in Laboratory field in Canada? Potentially, yes. I wouldn't be able to comment on this. However, it seems like you are eligible to apply for permanent residence, based on your age, your education, and your work experience. So absolutely, I would say, go ahead and take a look at whether or not we can help you with your permanent residence and see if you're able to work here. My Canada work permit was refused due to unsatisfaction that I will be able to adequately perform the work sought in Canada. I applied through a confirmed Canadian employer, PwC. What would you recommend? Is there a form of appeal or should I reapply? If so, when is a good timing? If you're talking about PwC as in the big four consulting firms, most likely we would have to reapply. It really depends on your situation. I'm not sure what's happened here, especially if they're supporting your work permit application. Most likely you should have been eligible to work there. Perhaps maybe you didn't have the right education, or perhaps you didn't show enough supporting documentation to prove your work experience. But I would say definitely take a second look here. You have a good opportunity to apply for a work permit. This is really a single opportunity. So I would definitely take a look at. We could always ask the government for a reconsideration if they made a mistake in adjudicating your work permit, or we could even request the refusal reasons in order to figure out exactly what happened. Okay, so our team here can definitely help you with that. I would probably take a look at this right away, immediately, just to see what happened, because the longer that time passes, the harder it would be for us to help fix this. Is an international baccalaureate diploma considered secondary or post-secondary? I believe it is considered secondary education, okay, but you'd have to have that assessed in order to be certain. I applied for a Canada visa since February 11th, 2021. Until now, I haven't received any updates on my application. So I think you might be applying for a visitor visa, perhaps. Because of the COVID pandemic, immigration has slowed down in terms of processing. A lot of the offices have been closed or they've been open with limited capacity. So I would just say stay put. If there's an urgent reason for you to come to Canada, if you have a family member that you're visiting, I think there is a window of opportunity for us to help expedite the application for you. But if there is no reason for you to come right away, I would say just hold off or perhaps consider reapplying for your visa application. Is IELTS necessary for CSQ? That depends. For CSQ, depending on which program you're looking to apply for, most likely you need to show French proficiency. However, English proficiency is also a consideration for Quebec skilled worker. So we'd have to take a look at that closely for you. On a visitor visa, as we can stay for 6 months, yes. Depends actually on the immigration officer and how long they're willing to let you in. But most likely, if you have a visitor visa, you can absolutely stay for 6 months. I have a question that if on a visitor visa, we've stayed for 6 months in Canada and then we return to our home country, after how much time after returning can we travel back to Canada? Is there any time frame? This is a really excellent question. You can typically leave Canada and re-enter and apply to come to Canada right away. There's actually nothing barring you from spending a weekend in the US or spending a weekend back home and then re-entering. However, the immigration officer may look at this a little bit closely and say, you were just here for 6 months, why are you coming again? So we always have to prove and convince an immigration officer that you are going to leave at the end of your stay and that you also have a valid travel purpose to come to Canada. So to answer your question, it depends. There's actually no recommended time frame for you to be outside of Canada before you can come back. Can you shed some light on the Home Support Worker Pilot Program? I'm really glad that you've asked that. The Home Support Worker Pilot Program, or the HCCP, Home Child Care Provider Program, is for those who have experience or education working as a home support worker, someone that takes care of elderly or those who might have a physical disability, and home child care provider. So if you have experience working as a nanny or perhaps an early childhood educator, and you have experience taking care of young children, and you know somebody in Canada, either a family member, a friend, a neighbor, someone that you went to school with, someone in Canada who needs your help to take care of their family members, they can extend you a job offer. If they give you a job offer and you've got the right work experience and you've got the right education, you would be eligible to apply under this program. This program takes about 12 months to process before you are given a work permit. After you have your work permit, you and your immediate family members, your spouse, your accompanying children can come with you to Canada. You would come to Canada and work with that family to take care of their younger children or their elderly parents. Work here as a caregiver for 2 years, and after 2 years, you would be eligible to apply for permanent residence. So I like to call this a 2-in-1 program. I think this is a very special program because if you have that opportunity to work here in Canada as a caregiver, I think this is a great chance for you to immigrate here and to apply for permanent residence. The requirements are that you need to have a good basic knowledge of English or French. So typically a level 4 or 5, depending on your English language test. You need a job offer, and you also need a minimum of a post-secondary education. So it could be a 1-year post-secondary education. It doesn't have to be in the field. It could be something related, but you do need to have relevant work experience in education in order to qualify. I'm planning to study in Canada, but I just want to know if the home ties like properties, land, is it a red flag when you just acquire it like 2 to 3 months before you lodge? That's a really great question. Ties to home country is a very key component into getting your study permit application approved. So there's no time frame for how long you need to have that. Of course, the longer the better. It all depends on the paperwork. So it's really hard for us to say without looking at everything. We have to look at the entire picture as a whole. Your family members there, your financial situation, your work experience, your education experience, all of that comes into play in order to determine the likelihood for success for a study permit approval. Our team here at Visa Place, we do many study permits. We help a lot of international students from Africa, Middle East, Asia, from the United States to apply for a study permit. So we'd love to meet with you, explore your options, and make sure that you're putting forth the strongest possible study permit application for your studies here in Canada. I want to apply for federal skilled worker in Montreal, Quebec. What's the process? If you are destined to Quebec, unfortunately, you would not be eligible for the federal Express Entry program. Express Entry is for people who want to live outside of Quebec. Quebec as a province has its own autonomy to select its own individuals to apply for permanent residence. So you would be applying under a different program, likely the Quebec Skilled Worker Program, using their ARIMA system. So that's completely different. If you're interested in applying for federal skilled worker or express entry, or even Quebec immigration, we'd be happy to help review your options for you there. I have a master's in computer science degree, and one of my clients in Quebec Canada is willing to provide me an offer letter. I've already done IELTS academic with a 7.5. Several questions here. Is there any way in which I can avoid another IELTS test? No. Okay, so IELTS academic is not eligible. It's not approved. We don't accept that for permanent residents. 2, if the employer is in Quebec, can I apply to move to Ontario? That depends. Depends if you are eligible for another work permit. If you're eligible for a federal work permit, most likely you can move to Ontario. So there's no restrictions in terms of where you're going to be working. Especially if your employer allows you to work and live in a different province. And how can Visa Place help me get there? So that's a great question. First, we're going to have to determine, how do we get you your work permit? I think that's great that you've got a client job offer. I'd really like to understand what kind of occupation is it for? What does the employer do? I need to understand your background as well too, in order to comment on your work permit options. But I think based on what you're sharing with me here, perhaps if you're working in any field such as AI, IT, or even graphic design, 3D animation, those are really hot in Quebec. It seems like there's a very good likelihood for a work permit and permanent residence for you to come in Canada. So we'd be happy to take a look at that for you. Can you help me get a job offer from a Canadian employer? Unfortunately not. We don't assist with getting you a job offer. I would suggest looking at websites such as Indeed.com, LinkedIn is a great one, the Canadian Government Job Bank. Those are all great starting points for you to look for and apply for jobs in Canada. Once you apply for a job, you get a job offer, we can certainly help you with your work permit and permanent residence. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm driving in Saudi Arabia for 15 years. I like to come to Canada. Please help me. If you are a driver, if you're a truck driver, and you have somebody in Canada who is willing to give you a job offer, there's definitely an opportunity for you to come here. So I would say book a consultation with us so we can help assess your options and shed some light in terms of the best opportunities for you to come to Canada. So everyone, I think that concludes our session for today. Very great questions that we've had today. Thanks so much for posting that. Thanks for everyone that's joining here from Facebook, from YouTube as well. Again, I'll look forward to seeing you guys next month on our sessions. Keep showing up, keep following the latest updates for Canadian immigration. Follow our newsletter as well if you haven't signed up already on our website. And if you're interested in applying for Canadian immigration, book a consultation with us. Our team here has shared a coupon code as well as the link for us to apply for to book a consultation. So I'm looking forward to meeting you guys. I'm looking forward to working with you and seeing how we can help you and your family come to Canada. So thanks for tuning in again. Thank you, farewell, and take care. Bye-bye.